Hi everyone, welcome to Transitions. I'm your host Anne Wagner, and here today with me is John Hayes. Welcome, John.
How you doing, Anne?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks
Good.
for coming in. So John and I know each other from the community. Both of us are involved in volunteering, and we do a lot of volunteering around mental health issues. So John, I'm just wondering, maybe you could start by telling us a little bit about what leads you to volunteer in the area of mental health.
Well, I found during life I found a lot of mental issues in myself, and over a period of years I thought as I got older and had a little more time, I could try and give a little bit back. And I don't know how many years ago that was, maybe 5, something like that. So I've been at it now for that long, and it's one of the best causes that I've found to volunteer for. Help the people, give back to community, all that kind of way stuff.
And it's certainly needed.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're involved in a whole range of things. And one of the things we've been talking about that you volunteer at, or that you're involved with, is actually a unique program out of Midland called Chigamik. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Chigamik is a community health center in Midland, and they have a program for traditional healer program for Aboriginal people, Métis, Aboriginal, and Francophones, Anglophones. And my wife and I have been doing some work there in that organization for 3.5, 4 years, I guess.
And so it's not like a traditional mainstream, if I can call it, mental health service where it's all medical based or psychiatry based.
It's not necessarily a mental health. Mental health is part of everything today. The mental issues, health issues, come up as you're doing. People come in for physical health issues also, because through mental health, a lot of your physical ailments come along with it. So we're there more for traditional healing and wellness, but also, like I say, the mental health issues are always not too far behind.
Right. So it sounds like it's a very holistic approach.
Very much so, yes.
And for those of us that aren't familiar, can you explain a little bit about what is involved in traditional healing?
Well, it depends on who's doing it, because there's no written rule about what traditional healing is. Each healer has his own techniques and methods, and I actually can't say what they do because I never ask.
Oh, okay, good point. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about how it works when you're involved, or what you've experienced, what you've participated in. Well,
because of the circumstances of the work, I have to be careful what I say, because there's always people's feelings involved, and people may think that you're talking out of school.
Right.
What we do is we do counseling. We'll sit and we'll talk to people, and we'll let them talk mostly, because a lot of people, they need that more than anything. And after a period of time, we'll do some work on them, and that's what my wife does. Pam, she's a healer. I'm just a guy that sits there, takes the notes. But how Pam does what she does is a mystery to me. I have no idea how, it's like I say, it's a mystery. I have no idea how she does what she does, but she's able to do some pretty incredible work with people, take a lot of stress off them. She helps them emotionally, spiritually, physically, and that just goes on. We're there for a week at a time, and we just do the best we can for people. It's pretty hard to say how you do things when
Right.
you don't really know how. It's a mystery. It's part of the great mystery that's out there, and the Creator is he's got all kinds of mysteries for us. And by being Métis people, we follow our ancestors' ways. Also with our European, I'm OG Cree and Irish, and I'm heavy on the Irish, and but I also really follow the traditional ways of my grandmother. So, and Pam does the same. She's Mi'kmaq, Algonquin, and French, so quite the mixture.
And so is that part of the process of healing, that you share cultural ways of knowing and
Yeah.
as part of the
Yeah.
process of healing?
Yes, you try and a lot of people today they don't know who they are. They've lost their roots. They've lost who their connection with nature. So you try to open those doors up for them again. It's like it's belief that when you come here, you have all the knowledge. You already have everything you need. You just got to bring it out. And some people have a hard time doing that. They get lost. They don't know who they are. They don't know who their culture is. So it takes a little bit of time to build up a rapport of trust before people start to talk in depth. And what they talk about is something I won't go into.
Right.
I can't do that. But yeah.
But so it's an approach. I'm just trying to get an understanding. It involves possibly physical healing as well as emotional, as well as there's a spiritual
Yes.
realm. Is there?
All three. You have to have all three to be able to find your balance in life, because that's one of the great problems that we have, and it's one of the reasons I believe that there's so much depression in the world and things, is because we're all out of balance. And until you can find your center point and then work from there, we're gonna have a lot of problems with people, just. And it's everything when it goes to if you're physically thrown off, what's brought that on? It's generally some stress, some kind of emotional problem. So if you can get everything working all together, then you're going to live a good life.
Right. So it sounds like it's a very different approach than what we often think when we think about going to a medical appointment or going for counseling, talk therapy. This sounds like it's a very different approach to understanding and restoring balance.
It is. It's not like going to see the doctor at all. It's like I say, there's all three. When you go to a doctor, he's basically there to take care of your physical ailments. He's not there to take care of your emotional or your spiritual, for sure. Your spiritual. Well, without the other two, you're never going to heal. Yeah, he may be able to give you a prescription, but then that's not necessarily going to work either. That's going to blanket the cause, the pain, but it's not going to fix what caused the pain. And what we try to do is find out the deeper side. And without the spiritualism, like I was saying, there's nothing more beautiful than sit in the morning and watch the sun come over a ridge, and it's like it takes its time. It's a thing of patience, and life is patience. And we don't learn that stuff. That's one of the things that I think causes so much stress. We all want something, but we're not prepared to wait. So we need to learn a little bit of patience. Takes the stress off. Get rid of the stress. You're emotionally better. If you're emotionally better, you're probably physically better also. So that's what we try and do.
And when we were talking earlier about this, you were suggesting that you think it's really tough, for instance, when people live in urban centers and they're disconnected from nature.
Absolutely.
Or life gets busy even here when we live rurally.
Yeah, it's you need to set time aside for your to connect with nature, and you don't have to be out of the city, although it's a lot easier. You can go to any park early in the morning, get up, just go out and just listen to what's going on, listen to the birds. I find the city, a lot of people don't hear the birds anymore, and they're there. There's lots of them. And, when you're out here, like where I live in the rural area, I'm surrounded by nature. Like I sit in my front window and it overlooks a valley that overlooks a lake, that overlooks a ridge, that I see the sun make that tiny red line in the morning right across the sky every morning. And it's like, there's nothing like that. You can't get that. You can't buy that. It's like God gave you that. Your Creator gave you that, and that's what that's all about. And that's good for your soul, and if you can keep your soul intact and not have it splintered, that's living.
So is part of the healing journey then consciously reconnecting and being aware of the beauty that surrounds us?
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I say, you don't have to. For me, it would be hard to do it in the city because I've always liked the nature, but you can do it. There's parks, there's trees, Say good morning to the tree. Don't, it's dying to have somebody speak to it instead of just come along and nail some poster to it. They're not there for that, And the spirit, everything has a spirit, and that's what's so beautiful about being in nature, because you can feel a little bit more because you have the time to breathe. When you're in the city, I don't remember breathing too much. I was too big a hurry going from A to B.
Right.
So it's much of a difference, much better.
So is that part of the work that you would do with people, is help them reframe and reconnect with nature, for example?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, I believe that's one of the things we talk about.
Okay. Now, we're just going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more talking with John Hayes. Welcome back to Transitions. I'm Anne Wagner, and I'm chatting with John Hayes today. And, John, we're just talking about what you do at Chigamik with traditional healing. I'm wondering if you could tell us generally about who comes for traditional healing. Is anyone able to get involved, or is it more oriented for certain groups?
No, Chigamik is open to everybody who comes. Their policy is nobody gets turned away.
Okay.
And people come for many different reasons. A lot of people come just to experience what it is. They want to see what it's like to talk to a traditional healer, or just to see what what it is, because it's quite different. But like I say, nobody's turned away. We have Métis, we have the First Nations people come. They have their healers. Their Anglophones come and Francophones come, and it's amazing the broad scope of people that walk through the door. We have children come.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, yeah. Children, they also come and get help. They have their issues, lots of them, and and there's the feeling you get is it's an amazing. Like I say, I'm not the healer. My wife is. I'm her helper, her skabewis, but her and I work pretty close together. But she's the one that's got the gifts.
Okay.
I got the pen, and it's something we look forward to every time we go. It's like we see new people. We connect with the older people we've known for 3 years, 4 years, and it's just one of those things to see where people are, where their journey's taken them, and everything has to do with trying to stay connected to nature, because that's the road to happiness. That's my opinion. That's the way to help yourself. If you can get yourself balanced, you're gonna do a lot better. And nature's the way to do it. We weren't originally living in high-rise apartments. All the people came from the same source. Whether you're Aboriginal or Métis or French or German or whoever, all our ancestors started out sitting around a fire telling stories, and that's beating on a drum. It all started the same way, and some moved ahead and thought that was progress, and some didn't move ahead quite so fast and found happiness. So there's a lot to life for me anyway. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I could talk too much forever.
Not at all. So it sounds like you're going back to some long-standing ways of knowing that maybe in the busyness of life and in what we, as you mentioned, call progress, we've lost or become disconnected from that way of knowing.
I believe so, and I think it's happening. More and more people are turning to nature. And it's a good thing. And there's no, like I say, nobody owns anything. Nobody can say, "Oh, this is mine." It isn't. It's everybody's. Whether it be a drum, a flute, whatever instrument, a rattle, or somebody wants to have a teepee on their property, go ahead and do it. It's all good, but respect the traditions that go with it, and don't take everything light. Don't take anything light, because these are all somebody's ways of living. And the Aboriginal worldview is different than the European. Europeans seem to look with a straight ahead The Aboriginal people, you look in the 360 degree, so everything is involved. So the circle is a big part of healing, because you start here and you go around and you end up right back at where you started, and that's how your life is. You start out as a child and you go right around the circle, and you leave again. And as you get closer to the circle, you become like that child, because children and old people, if you ever notice, have a great bond.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. One's just coming, the other's just leaving. So it's an interesting concept. We live in a thing where there are 4 hills of life. There's when you're a child, when you're a youth, when you're an adult, and when you're old. And as you go around, you learn. So the 4 stages of life, or the 4 hills of life, we all go through. It's that nobody owns that story or that tradition. That's the way it is, and so is the circle of life. You come in as a child, and a lot of us are going to leave as children.
And so is part of the traditional healing reconnecting people with these ways of knowing that have been around for a long time?
It can, yeah. I mean, I think pretty much it does. I mean, it does for Pam and I. We definitely try to have people reconnect with their source. I think I said earlier to you, don't be afraid to ask your ancestors for help, because if you don't ask them for help, there's not much point in having them. And they're all waiting. They're waiting for someone to say, hey, grandfather, grandmother, can you help me? And you're going to find they're dying to help you. Well, they're already gone, but they're be more than willing to help.
Well, this has been fascinating, and I get the sense that we're just scratching the surface now.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we can invite you back, and we can talk about this again in the future.
That sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming in, John.
Yeah.
And again, this is Transitions. And if you have any comments or any questions for us, you can reach us at transitions@hbr@gmail.com. That's transitions@hbr@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.